Let's talk about the protests that are going on right now and the incontrovertible fact that Black Lives Matter. We do not want to circumvent the situation by thinking that this isn't about us or that this show is only about video game news, commentary, and funny stuff, and staying silent.
Pervasive systemic injustice, especially rooted in racism and infrastructural power dynamics, isn't going to just go away. It's a problem we must solve together. We stand with those calling for justice for victims like George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and their families. And we stand with those making it undeniably clear that things need to change.
We took our Monday What's Good Games live show off the air this week and instead encouraged you to listen to the discussion, A Lesson in Blackness, which is led by our friend Khalif Adams, the founder of the Spawn on Me podcast. We hope that you did, and we hope that it impacted you.
What's Good Games has always been a community of support and kindness, and members of our community are in pain. To our Black friends, fans, and family, we're here however we can be. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at contact@whatsgoodgames.com, and we're happy to listen.
In our nerdy corner of the internet, we encourage you to go out of your normal sphere of influence to listen to, watch, and support Black creators. Please remember that it is not their job to educate you, to give you a list of things to do to make it better, or to explain their pain to you.
If your reaction to any part of this is to get defensive or upset, or that we should just stick to video games, we encourage you to take a beat, process, and figure out where those feelings are coming from. We ask that you be respectful, and instead of reacting, focus on listening.
Looking for ways to help? You can donate, you can march, you can, more importantly, educate yourself and vote. The system cannot reform itself, so we really need everybody to help make the world inhospitable to racism.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer.
Hello.
Miss Brittney Brombacher.
Hello.
And Miss Riana Manuel.
What up?
Welcome back to the show, ladies. I would say, how are you doing? How's everybody going this week? But I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going.
It's been a
going.
week.
Time moves forward.
It does. And hopefully time moving forward means things are getting better. I'm excited to see that there has been some movement in indictments brought against officers in George Floyd's case, and that they have reopened Breonna Taylor's case. That's very exciting and good and very overdue news. And I hope that people are continuing to stay involved in their local and state governments, because that is the quickest way to see the change in your personal community, instead of lobbying stuff at the White House, which, I mean, I'm not going to blame you for either. They're just as guilty. But the local governments are really where you're going to see the change at the police level. And I think that's, kind of where people are focusing their activism right now. So we want to run the show a little bit different today. We obviously started the show with the statement that we posted on Monday when we decided to not do What's Good Games Live, because it's important, if you didn't see our message on social media, that you heard it here on the show. We want to still talk about video games, so don't think that this is all going to be very serious, but we do need to take a moment to be serious. So we're going to spend the first part of the show having a discussion led by Riana. And then in the second half of the show, we'll talk about the news of the week and what games we've been playing, like we always do. But before we get to that discussion with Rhi, we do have a couple of announcements. In case you missed the memo, it's Pride Month. We're very excited to celebrate with our friends in the LGBTQ plus community. We have been letting you guys know that we have a new Pride design in the store. Of course, all of our Pride designs, the profits go to GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, who's doing work in the world of video games to help make sure those voices are heard. I'm wearing one of our Pride designs from last year, and we have tons of new styles that you guys can check out. So if you haven't been to whatsgoodgames.com/store to check out those Pride designs, we encourage you to do so.
Is my pillow in the shot? Can you see it?
Oh yeah, the let me get the close up here of Ree's purple pride pillow. I love it.
Yes. Oh, it looks so good. Those colors so bright.
Does it look like I'm looking at it?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
You're absolutely nailing the framing.
Those colors so bright and vibrant. The purple looks really good too.
Yeah, I love it. I have one on order. It's in the process of being shipped. And just a quick update on the video or Defenders of the Video Game City pins that we were selling during the anniversary stream. After several hurdles, I have received part of my shipping supplies to get those out to you, and hope that in the next couple of days, the remainder of the items that I need to get those all properly packaged and labeled will have arrived. As most people know, we're in the middle of a pandemic still, and in the United States, on top of the protests and the curfews that are happening in major cities, that's dramatically affected shipping across the country. So thank you in advance for your patience. Don't worry, you will get your pins, I promise you. I want to say thank you to this month's Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, Faris Attieh, Mohammed Mohammed, Marcus Brown, Punkdefied, and Malay Bittner. And welcome to our Patreon community, Michael Emerson, Mark Smith, Stephanie Sizemore, Jeffers Hale, Adam Sexton, Richie Flick, and Josie Grace. And Brittney, we've got some new podcast reviewers.
We do. We have Christofro, I think I said that correct, and Braz Fannin, and then Santana Alves, who says, dope podcast, wish it was longer and had a current event/news segment.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Wish it was longer.
Like,
well,
no, that's the
careful
first
what
time
you wish
anyone's...
for. Santanals.
Yeah, no one's ever requested a longer podcast, but hey, we'll take it. Thank you.
Anywhere ever.
Yeah, no. And then we have a 4-star review from Bertitz Man, who just says, QQ.
QQ indeed.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it. It's
you know
fine.
what? I'll take I mean, I really don't want your 4-star review, but at least you weren't an asshole. So there we go.
I mean, QQ to me is crying.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
But, yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know. If
I don't
you're
know what
crying
the I
about
don't know
giving
what
us a 4-star review, or you're just sad in general in life, which is totally
mysterious
reasonable.
comment of the week comes from Bertitzman.
Yes.
QQ.
Indeed. And on that note, let's get into our first segment of the week. Rihanna, over to you.
Yeah. So, some people might have caught me on Inside Gaming earlier this week, where I made a statement about the state of things in reference to the murder of George Floyd and constant examples of injustice at the hands of police for the Black and brown community. And currently, lots of rioting, curfews, police violence against protesters, and there's a lot going on right now in the States. So I wanted to take a beat and talk to my co-hosts, the three of you, about what's going on and where you are at. I tend to be more of a listener than a talker, and I would really, really appreciate it if we could just be open and honest and just have a conversation about how everything's hitting you, because I really want to know.
Absolutely.
So with that, let's, I guess, start with the first question that I have. Did anything, well, there's lots of things, but what stood out to each of you as something that was surprising? Anything you didn't expect, anything you didn't know, anything you learned in the last week and a half?
I feel like for me anyway, I mean, there's been a lot. I was not surprised by the police brutality or any of that aspect. I've been paying attention over the years. Like, that part was not the shock. The part that I was actually shocked about, which I'm a little ashamed of, is like the budget, the city budget. I had no idea that like 54% of the Los Angeles budget goes to the police department.
I did not know that either.
I was floored. I was like, what? How on earth could you ever justify a city budget being like that? And I'm like, and I felt guilty and like sad about that, because I've lived in LA for 4 years now, I think, somewhere around there, and just have like not paid attention at all to where my taxpayer dollars are going. I've voted and like I've done things, but I haven't actually looked in more specifically to what is being done after the voting. And I think that that's obviously a much more important part. But I do think it's really easy to get carried away in your own micro world, right? Of like, well, the things that are happening to me personally right now, I'm going to deal with those and fix those. And it's harder sometimes to zoom out and look at the higher level and look at what's happening around you. So I think the main thing to come out of this for me is to make sure that I am paying more attention on a macro level, and I am fighting for what needs to be done, and that I am saying absolutely not. You do not get over half of our city's money. Why?
Yeah, thankfully, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, made a statement today that he has withdrawn $100 to $150 million from the police budget, which was great because I don't know if anybody else caught the live stream of the city council meeting that was happening.
That was
Must see TV.
It was insane in the best way. And I like that they all just sat there and took it. Because that's what
here's
they
the
needed
thing.
to do.
I feel like none of those people were listening. That's the thing that really irritated me about that whole thing. I was like, I would totally go to this. Granted, pandemic is. We're gonna pretend like pandemic's not here.
We'll put that on pause.
Yeah, we'll put the pandemics on pause for this entire conversation because we can only take one thing at a time. I was like, I actually wish that it wasn't during a pandemic because I would go in person because you have to listen there. But on a Zoom call, you can just mute the tab. Like, and I think that has to be what all of those people had done, because there is no way you can sit there and have zero reaction to what those people were saying, and all of them looked bored or were looking off or were like doing something else. I'm like, you're not listening. You're using technology to hide behind and pretend like you're listening, and that really irritated me. And I also was very irritated at Garcetti for throwing those peanuts money and saying, we'll use this, like, here, you can have a little bit of scrap from our police department. When we use that.
What's the percentage amount of that? I don't know.
I'm not very good at math, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Andrea's
to go.
checking.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Brittany, go ahead.
To go to your original question, Ree, and the reason I hesitated is because I feel like my voice isn't really one that needs to be heard right now. But I do appreciate that you are a listener and you do want to hear what we have to say. Is, for me, this has just been an exhausting, a frustrating, and just an all around angry experience. And I feel, honestly selfish saying that because this hasn't really been my reality. It wasn't my parents' reality. It wasn't my grandparents' reality, my great-grandparents' reality. But watching everything unfold and just watching, and I've just been doing a lot of sitting back and listening. I've been educating myself. And how can you not just feel all of this wide range of emotions, none of them pleasant? And it's really impacting me in a way that I would say I'm ashamed to admit it hasn't impacted me before. Of course, when you see police brutality against Black men and women, it's an awful, terrible thing. And that's what I've always told myself, that fucking sucks. That's not right. What can be done? What can change? But then life goes on and then the next thing happens. But something about this week has just really opened my eyes up. And I'm exhausted. And this isn't my reality on a day-to-day basis. I was watching Khalif's Spawn on Me, A Lesson in Blackness yesterday, and I'm like halfway through my second watch right now because it's such a great conversation, and just listening to the reality of, Zombie telling her children, like, you are a threat. Just because you're a Black man, you are a threat. Listening to Khalif saying sometimes he can't even go take his garbage out if it's nighttime, just things like that you hear. But I think when you especially hear it from people, for some reason, it just registers differently. And I hate that. But I think it's just been a really hard week. I don't know if I said that as eloquently as I could, but I tried.
We're all doing our best here, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to follow up on Steimer's point before I give my thoughts, the Los Angeles Police Department was set to receive a large increase in its annual budget from $1.189 billion last year to $1.86 billion. Most of the budget increases were for new police bonuses. For 2020 through 2021, before Garcetti axed that move Wednesday, cutting $100 to $150 million, only after activists rallied outside his home.
Like, all that makes me want to do is like have more protests outside of his home to be like, are you joking with this number?
Yeah.
Please go back. Try again. One more time.
In New York, more than 40 city council candidates are calling for a $1 billion cut to the NYPD's $6 billion budget over 4 years to help fund other programs such as the city's summer youth employment program. And in cities such as Minneapolis, Dallas, Philadelphia, and Nashville, similar movements are also gaining traction. So just a quick update.
Yes, thank you.
I think like Steimer made a really valid point about ignorance about the way that local government works. We have local government elections semi-frequently at the city and state level, and I think people in our age bracket and younger are notoriously not participating, or if we are participating, we're voting for a single initiative that we care about, and then we're leaving the rest of the ballots blank. I'm certainly guilty of leaving certain votes blank because I just don't know enough about the candidates that I just choose to not vote than to vote for somebody along party lines just because they're the party that I'm registered with. But I think this has been a giant wake-up call for all of us to take much more care in researching the people who are in positions of power that oversee policy around the police, around the attorney's office, around the Department of Justice, around correctional facilities and prisons. All of that is part of the system. And almost all of those positions are publicly elected positions. And I think the idea that so many of us as young people, Gen X and below, don't know what any of those positions are is our fault, right? It's our ignorance, it's our weakness, and it's been a huge wake-up call to be like, educate yourself about what your government does for you, because as Steimer said, we paying for it.
Yep.
Yeah, out of your paycheck.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that when I look at this week and think about something that surprised me in addition to that, we all knew that police brutality existed. I think that the idea of police brutality being in my life was something that felt very far away because I didn't know somebody who had experienced police brutality firsthand. I think I was not prepared for just how widespread the police brutality has been against all of the protesters this week. And I think it's really shaken my idea of what it means to be an American and what it means to have freedom of speech and the right to peaceful assembly and a lot of other things that are in our Constitution that seem to be just thrown out the window this week. And that made me really angry. I mean, all of it makes me angry. Watching those videos makes me angry and sad and horrified. And it always feels like there's nothing that can be done. It's like, oh, it's an officer being prosecuted by, a district of attorney in a state that I don't live in. So there's nothing I can do except continue to donate to the Southern Poverty Law Center, which we've been doing since the day Trump got elected, and to continue to donate to the ACLU, which we also have been doing. And, we can donate as much as we can to help these causes, but I think it really is time for us to go, what can I do in my community today to make it better?
Yeah, that's really great insights, and something that I am personally very grateful for from all of you is that I know each of you has done your homework and has started to look into things more closely. And I think that is probably the way forward. Obviously, I don't have any answers, but knowledge is power. And yeah, you can throw that statement around, but the fact is that none of us knew that, $6 billion were coming from the citizens going to the police department. That's a problem. We should know these things. And I'm glad we're starting to figure it out. A little, I guess, quick background about where my family came from. I am a descendant of slaves. I'm also a descendant of slave owners. The first people who came to this country that I'm related to that we could find were the McGowans, an Irish family, and one of the McGowans raped one of his slaves, and she had his child, a daughter. So she was biracial, and then he raped her, and she had a daughter. And those are the first relatives that I have in the Americas. And that is a generational trauma that every single one of my family members has carried our entire lives. So being afraid of power structures specifically, but honestly, being afraid of power is something that I've struggled with. Being afraid to be seen is something that I have struggled with. For many, many years, people in my family were white or light-skinned enough to pass for white. And I have that to deal with. Accepting my blackness is something that I struggle with. So for a lot of Black people, for, those of you who don't know, there's a lot of layers to this shit. And the police brutality, the systemic injustices against Black people is a huge, huge piece of it. But there is so much more that you don't see. And I'm so encouraged that people are now waking up and learning that there's more to learn. So thank you to each of you. Something that I'm surprised by is that people are finally getting it. We got here the way we got here, but let's keep moving forward, I guess, is what I hope we could do. Moving on from that, what about this week has frustrated you that, I guess maybe you've already described a lot that frustrated you, but what didn't you expect to be mad at, I guess? Is there any anger emotion that came up, or any emotion in general that you weren't expecting? Obviously, if we see somebody being hurt, we expect to be upset. But did you have any emotions that surprised you this week?
I feel like all of our emotions were
all of them?
We experienced a lot of the emotional range that you can have as a human being. I think an interesting element of the protests that were not about the protests really, but the way at least the LA government chose to handle it that frustrated me was the curfews, because they were just not only ridiculously communicated, like the only person blowing up my phone was the city of Los Angeles, and it was just like, and it would change constantly, and I was like, you are literally just setting people up to fail, and that makes me furious, because I can't imagine how anybody can keep track of what the actual curfew is or which part of the city you're in. Like, there was one day, I think it was the first day, they were like, business district is 1 p.m. of Santa Monica. And I was like, first of all, what are you defining as the business district? Is that literally just 3rd Street, Promenade? Is that what you mean? Can you just say that? Like, where is it? And then it was like, well, all residential is like 4 p.m., which also is like, it's getting summer now. The sun doesn't set till like 8 p.m. And they were curfewing up until like, they were super early curfews. They were like, you can't be out past 4 or 5. And I was like,
yeah.
First of all, where were these during quarantine? Like, we're all supposed to be quarantined, but nobody has a curfew. We can just technically run around and do whatever we want. And I know that was supposed to discourage looting and some of the other bad elements that were happening, not in conjunction, but not connected, I suppose is the correct way of saying that. But even still, I'm like, I don't, how much did that actually help? Or how much were you just literally scaring people trying to scare them into submission? And that was frustrating. And I'm glad that the ACLU sued the city of Los Angeles.
Yep. I was really happy to see that happen today as well. So we got notifications that there would be no curfew today, after we just assumed that there would be another curfew, because Los Angeles County officials had said that they will continue to enforce curfew until the violent riots stop, which is LOL. There weren't violent riots happening. Your police officers were attacking people who were literally just sitting on the ground with signs, practicing their rights given to them by the Constitution of the United States. And it's been so frustrating, I think, to see people on the outside not seeing that and getting upset at the police. And there are still so many people that are upset at the protesters, and I like the anger that I have about that, and the confusion I have about why people are not upset at the police is tough. But it's hard when you're a country as big as the United States is, and I think that's something that we as Americans lose sight of a lot, because we get so wrapped up in our little communities that we forget that all of Europe can fit inside the United States. That's how vast and diverse we are as a people. And so the communities that aren't experiencing as widespread police brutality, because maybe they just have a couple of police officers and they all know each other, versus, middle to large cities that have rampant police brutality among their ranks. It's like, we're not trying to say that every single police officer who's ever existed is a bad person. That's right. Not what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I have some family members who are in the police force. Not here in LA, but around in the United States.
We're trying to say that the reason why we have to address this brutality and this racism head on is because the good ones have allowed it to continue. and they're not doing enough to stand up. And not only do we as citizens need to be empowered to say something to our elected officials, including the police officers who are on our payroll, but we want other police officers to be empowered to step up to report their coworkers. And it's like, well, what systems are in place to protect them? You know, does the union have a place where they can go where they're truly going to be protected? You know,
like anonymous reporting or anything. Because if they have fear of backlash
or losing their job or getting hurt themselves, it's like we want to be able to also allow the good police officers who see it in front of their face to be empowered to report them and see action. It's the same conversation I think that we had around the Me Too movement about reporting sexual harassment in the workplace. And it's like you have to allow your employees to feel like they can say something, just like you have to allow police to be able to say something. And also for them to be able to just stop it in its tracks when they do see it. And it's disappointing to me that we aren't talking about that in conjunction with the obvious like legislation that needs to change. But it's something that I hope is part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I'm seeing that are frustrating, but unfortunately, none of them are very surprising, right? I understand that, you want to peacefully protest, you want to go out there and have your voice heard. Yes, absolutely do that. Of course, you're going to have bad apples and individuals who take advantage of the situation and break into businesses and loot and cause harm to other folks and other items and set cars on fire. Like Seattle had some really, really nasty protests or riots. And while, yes, that all sucks, and yes, it's never good when family businesses are broken into and things are stolen and they have to start over, like you just hope they have insurance. I think the thing that's I thankfully follow a lot of like-minded people. My social timeline, I haven't had to mute or delete or anyone, but it's when I step out of my little bubble and then I see how much of a stink is raised about, physical goods. Like these are actual lives that people are protesting, and like, sure, like I said, destroying businesses, that's not good. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a stupid thing that you even need to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Get your free shit.
It's more when people aren't pissed off about the fact that police brutality and racism is a thing, but they're more pissed off that their local Nordstrom rack is being looted. And that's the thing they want to spend their energy on. And that's the thing they want to get angry about. It's like, well, why do you think all of these riots are happening? Is because trying to be peaceful hasn't done shit. It doesn't work in this country. You can't make change by just sitting peacefully and saying like, well, not all this, or, I'm sure it was an accident. That's not how change happens. And now look, it's all over. 400 different cities have participated in the protests across all of the states, and it's getting the message across. But no, your Nordstrom rack shoes you were going to buy the next day are gone. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, the
Nordstrom should still be closed anyway, right?
Well, no, because I think things had just opened in Seattle.
Oh, okay.
No. I might be totally wrong. Rihanna, you live closer to downtown. You know more than I do about that. But
yeah, I don't know if they were open. A lot of malls have been open for a limited number of people at a time, but they weren't back to normal, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah. It was the community rallying around Colin Kaepernick this week was fascinating because he was like the de facto poster child for peaceful demonstration on a large platform. And look what happened to him in his career and how he was crucified for it. And now people are like...
The president even got involved.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. It was just like... It's like, yo, he tried. He tried to do it the way that you said that he's supposed to do it. And then you told him he was a bad person and he was spitting on the flag and he was disrespecting our troops, even though it had literally nothing to do with the armed forces of the United States.
He actually consulted with veterans to ask how to do it without insulting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't hear about that, right? It's
Nope.
media, man.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power.
100%. I mean, like, there was a lot of that frustrated me about this week. I thought the videos were going to stop. I thought like a couple days in, once we saw how bad it was, that I was like, oh, the police are definitely going to like ease it back, right? Like they're going to walk it back.
No,
and
they
it's
like double down.
And I'm just like, what is going on? How is this still happening? And then seeing the president trot out military as a show of force is just like, what? What's going on in this country?
And then all the tear gas, and then they try to deny that they used tear gas, and it's like, dude, it was fucking nationalized on live TV. It's fine.
Everybody has a video.
Actually, no, fuck
in
that.
their
It's
video
not
camera in their
fine.
pocket.
Stop being such a fucking it.
Let it out. Let it out, Britt. Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
you can't keep holding this shit in. It's not good for us personally or for everyone else in the world. Like, we need to start speaking up because this shit is not it.
In conjunction with like the stuff about people who have peacefully protested, I always get really frustrated when people like trot out MLK, and I'm like,
sorry,
you murdered him. Do you remember that? Do you remember that part? No, you just conveniently like forgot that bit. That's fine. Like, there's just so many parts of it where they're like, well, we'll just cherry pick. Or even I've seen some people, I hope they're bots, please be bots, talking about like pride and like, oh, well, pride's a great example of whatever. And you're like, what?
Do you not know how pride started?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, do you have just read a book? Or read the internet. Just read something that explains history to you, and maybe you will understand why. Although I would say the majority of protests I have seen have been peaceful and have had zero cause to have the attacks that they've received.
Mm-hmm.
Like, history has usually been changed by violence. It's just honestly like the way that it goes.
Well, yeah. You never hear about overhaul happening by people taking a knee peacefully. Like, it just doesn't work that way, and that's why it makes me so mad. Well, maybe they just try and protest and eat, peacefully. Shut the... It's fine. Maybe, never mind. It's all good. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about, too, if you don't mind, Ree, on that note, because Simon brought up MLK, is Ree recommended reading a Twitter thread, and I don't have the author of that thread in front of me, but essentially she was talking about COINTELPRO, and this is something that I had never, ever heard about, which is just absolutely awful. But I was reading this thread, and I was like, what the hell is... And then she recommended the author a documentary called Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution. She says it's on Netflix. I couldn't find it on Netflix, but I did find it on Amazon Prime Video. And I watched that, and it's like Simon was saying, like, read a book, get educated, and at Ree's recommendation, I dove into this, and I'm just now, like, learning about it, but this is something that I'm absolutely going to spend more time with, because once you start kind of learning, and, like Ree said, this is in her text, this is kind of like the basis, like, this is where you probably want to start. It all starts falling into place, and everything really does start making sense. And I've been telling all of my family members about it, and thankfully I have an amazing family, and we're all on the same page with all of this. And they're all interested in it. They didn't know about it either. And it's the stuff like this, like, why don't they teach you this in high school? Well, it's like, well, or middle school, elementary school. And Ree said, she had to learn this outside of her normal education, right, Ree? I'm not wrong about that.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and of course they're not going to teach you this because it messes up everything that me, a white woman, born and raised and have lived prominently in a white community, like, this has never been something that's even been brought up. And everything I'm learning, it almost feels like up is down and down is up. And this has a lot to do with why I'm really struggling this week, is I feel like a lot of the shit I've learned, and this is my own issue for not educating myself earlier, but I guess better late than never. But damn, it's a lot. And it's a lot.
Sorry, Britt, to cut you off. I was just going to say the name of the Twitter thread, or the person whose account it is at Claire Willett, and we'll put that in the show notes if you guys want to go find it, if you're good with that, Ree.
Yeah, absolutely.
The beginning of the thread, the first piece says, "Not to be the white asshole who just got here 5 minutes ago and is already like, I can't believe you didn't know this. God, Megan. But in researching my book, I learned some stuff history classes omitted, which might be helpful to other white folks, specifically about Fred Hampton." And then it's a thread that you should read.
Yeah. Fred Hampton, rest in peace.
I'm with you, Brittney, that there's certainly a lot of gaps in our knowledge, which is something that I think we can bring up with our city councils who oversee funds for schools.
Oh, no, we can't pay for anything for schools. We've got to get military riot gear.
Oh, yes, we need police officers with full, like, military gear, like they're going To be deployed.
To bring a bit of levity, there was a very funny something that I cracked up at. It was an older clip on Twitter from like I don't even know where this cop was going, but it was like when you have all of your funds allocated towards the police department and like none towards infrastructure since, and then they listed a date I don't remember, like a very long time ago. I think like since the Soviet Union or something. And it's a cop car going like 100-ish miles an hour, but on this road that has a really big pothole. And so like the cop car just like eats it and just bounces off and like sparks fly behind it, and then it like flips around and does a twirl. Anyways, it's very fun to watch because nobody actually got hurt in that. The cop walked away. But you're just like, yeah, maybe pave your roads. Maybe like put a little bit of effort into the place that you live and stop buying weird mini tanks for the police, because I don't know why you need that.
Maybe teach
you already have a
LGBTQ
military
history or Black history or any other history besides the very limited scope that we get in our educational system.
We've all been talking a lot, but I feel like if there's any voice here that matters the most, it's yours. So please, like, lay it on us, baby girl.
I mean, I appreciate that, and I know that people might feel a certain way about me asking you all questions and not talking as much, but the fact is, I'm fucking exhausted. This is very traumatic for me to talk about, and I'm sharing what I can. I work better. I work better as a healer, as a learner, and this is very, very difficult work for me personally. So thank you all for helping me work through this, and to our audience, thank you all for being patient with me, because I know a lot of people want to hear what I have to say, but fact is, it hurts to fucking say it. So
sure,
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
You're doing awesome. In fact, lots of people wrote in to say just how awesome you are. Wout, friend of the show, says, Riana, how are you so amazing all the time?
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
I don't drink water, so.
Oh my God.
No.
You just drink kombucha.
Don't tell the kids that.
I know when you were hungover one time, I texted you. I'm like, Rhea, how are you? Hydrate. You're like, but I don't want to drink water. Like, what the
You
fuck,
can
girl?
drink coconut water.
Is that what you drink?
I'll drink
Or-
my ferment.
I don't know that that's gonna
Her
help
homemade
you.
kombucha.
Yeah.
Okay, so the secret of being awesome, apparently, like Rhea, is to just not drink water.
Be dehydrated.
No, God, no, don't do that.
That's terrible.
Please
advice.
don't. No, actually hydrate. Like, that's a joke, please.
Yes. Please
How do you
drink
hydrate?
something.
What's your preferred method of hydration?
Actually, lately I've been doing a soda stream with some Crystal Light.
Ooh,
So, like,
yeah,
fake
soda
pop,
stream.
sort of.
I'm into it.
It's my go-to.
We do have a couple questions and things that people have written in from our What's Good Games community at whatsgoodgames.com/DRWGG. Sean writes in and says, hi, girls. I would love it if you could give a shout out to some Black video game creators. We don't often get to see faces behind the games, and I'm sure many others would love to support work by people of color. So please let us know any names, games, or studios we should check out. And do you have any recommendations for sci-fi or fantasy novels by Black writers, particularly Black female writers? Also, at the beginning of WGG, possibly the first episode, you did a segment where you each talked about your background, how you got into games, and what led you to WGG. I'd really love to hear the same from Riana. Riana, I'm really loving your contribution to the show, and I know you work at Xbox, but I'd love to know more. Thanks so much, and lots of love. So just as a disclaimer, Riana cannot talk about the work that she does at Xbox, but, of course, if she so chooses, can talk about what got her into games and what led her to WGG.
Yeah. I'll give I guess my story really quickly, and then would love to get into these recommendations, because Black female writers, I got you. But I came from healthcare. I have my undergrad in exercise science, my master's in health information management, and I went to work for University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and was working in the software side of healthcare for about a year and a half. And then I realized that I hated it. I couldn't really make a big enough difference in the lives of others. And I've always loved video games. And I figured, you know what? It's time for a change. So after all my college friends moved away and I was left in Pittsburgh by myself, I talked to my family members, reached out to friends, and my sister-in-law recommended me for a job at Xbox. So I moved over to Seattle and started working in localization, and it's kind of been off to the races from there. I I love being at Xbox, and I've worked at a couple of other places too. But yeah, I sort of got into games very intentionally after realizing I did not want to be in healthcare.
It almost rings a little bit to Brittney's story.
Yeah.
But very different in obvious ways. But
Right. Instead of healthcare, I was with the Department of Corrections, just like the administrative headquarters building. And I also found out that I quickly hated it. I thought it's what I also wanted to do. I took classes at the local community college. I'd work from 8 to, I worked from 8 to 5. Then I would take night classes, took a few classes in criminal justice. And then I was like, nah, this is not for me. And video games.
Ree,
Look at me now.
How did you get started in healthcare? Was it like a thing when you were a kid that you were like wanted to be a doctor, or what kind of led you down that route before you kind of shifted gears?
Yeah, my entire family, except for my dad, is in healthcare. So my dad is in corrections. He was in criminal justice.
Hey.
He was a prison warden for a long time. Now he's a
wow.
vice principal, which he likes to say is the same thing.
Just a slightly different audience.
Some different audience. But my mom has always been in medical engineering. She's an engineer. My sister's a physical therapist. Both of my brothers are in medical supplies sales. My brother and sister's mom she was at one point, I think she was like the head nurse of London or something.
Whoa.
She's like a big deal in nursing. And shout out to all of my family members that I'm probably completely butchered what you've done. But yeah, everybody has been in healthcare and in service roles. So that's just sort of where my head was at for most of my life.
That makes sense. So
Yeah.
then what led you to WGG?
You all, you're awesome. I've been a fan for a while, but specifically my partner introduced me to What's Good Games, and I met you all at PAX in Seattle and helped out at your Life is Strange event during PAX West, and I think from there I've kind of like started just creeping into the friend group, just being around, being useful.
Oh.
I remember going to your Kind of Funny best friends meetup. Steimer and I went together, and we, that was like the first time that we got to actually like felt like a chat with you and like have a connection that wasn't like just on social media or like in a big group and passing. And I was like, we need to hang out with Ree more. And a beautiful friendship was born. Sparkles. Exactly. So Sean, thank you so much for your question. And so for the recommendations, Ree, do you want to start with the Black writers, or should we talk about Black game creators? You sounded like you had writers ready to go.
I got writers ready to go.
Okay.
First off, if you like time travel,
I do.
I would say you want to check out Kindred by Octavia Butler. Must read.
Cool. On my
Kindred,
list.
Octavia Butler.
I'm writing these down, and I will put all these in the show notes.
Yeah, perfect. If you like reading about kids with superpowers,
Yes,
like
I do
the
that too.
MHAs, the avatars, this one, Children of Blood and Bone.
Oh, I saw that one on Twitter somewhere.
By Tomi Adeyemi. And this is an entire series, so once you get this one done, if you like, when the story just keeps going, I think there's 2 more, I want to say. But also start here if you want to read about kids with superpowers, both Black female authors. Tomi Adeyemi is African, but fantastic stories, and they do center around young women.
Nice.
Awesome. I wrote those down, and we'll be adding them to my shopping cart very soon.
This one, Children of Blood and Bone, might be hard to find because it was a New York Times bestseller, so it might be a little bit tricky to get that one.
Wouldn't that make it
Just a
easier
heads
to
up.
find?
Hmm?
So wouldn't that make it easier to find? Don't they
I
they
think
print
I
a
remember
lot of
somebody
that?
telling me they were trying to find it and it was sold out, but they could have restocked it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I was just looking up a title. I'm referring to Shauna Skye, who is the creative director at Crystal Dynamics, working on Marvel's Avengers. He's great. He used to work at Visceral, and he is now, leading the team who's overseeing the creative for a giant property for Marvel, so doing an Avengers game. So that's awesome. Also a big shout out to Leo Alebe, who runs Facebook Gaming's whole program, and I've had the amazing opportunity to host panels and work with him on several occasions, both with Facebook's She Talks Games, Women in Gaming Initiative, and of course the Global Gaming Citizens, which is something that he's been overseeing as well. And they've highlighted some really fantastic people in that program. It was interesting, the conversation that I had with him once about how he has a struggle as a top executive in a company as large as Facebook. When he goes into meetings with people assuming that his subordinates who are white are actually the person in charge, if they've actually never shook hands or met in person, if they've only done email exchanges, that when they walk into a room for the first time, that he said almost every time they think it's my subordinates who are the ones that are in charge and not me. And we had like a real conversation about like what that meant to him and how he's grateful that he has coworkers who immediately are like, oh no, we're not in charge. Leo's in charge. But that's a bias that people have, an unconscious bias sometimes, or sometimes it's just an open bias. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Those people are bad. And I thought it was really great that he took the time to talk about that, because you don't really hear executives, talk about those things very often. So I really appreciated that from him.
I want to give a shout out to Davion Gooden, sole indie creator of She Dreams Elsewhere, which yes. Oh God, it's so good. It's not out yet, but there is a demo, and I'm trying to see. It just says planned release date 2020, and I believe the game is going to be part of some of these summer game fests and whatnot. I'm trying to find the details on it right now. But anyway, I did play the demo, and the time just went so quickly. It reminds me a lot of Earthbound. I know Earthbound and I think Animal Crossing are some inspirations for that game. It's looks like I would say more like 16-bit game, but it's check it out. And his Twitter handle is Davion Gooden, DAVIONNE GOODEN, and the game is She Dreams Elsewhere, and the studio is Studio Zevere, Zevere. Anyway, it's on Steam. Go look at it and play it. It's real good. Yeah.
Also, shout out to at Black Game Dev on Twitter, who surfaces Black Game Devs every single day.
There you
Good
go.
follow.
But we do have some more questions from people that we would like to get to. And some of them are just nice thoughts, like from Haley Hahn, who says, no question, just a thank you to Rihanna. She's getting the platform she deserves in the gaming industry with her guest appearance on Inside Gaming. What about her spot on What's Good Games? What Inside Gaming? What? They're not bigger than us. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, flip her hair, ladies. Flip
Just
it.
a little bit.
Hopefully on more future outlets as well. But I know I'm just going to take a break from Haley's message. I'll get back to it in a second. We didn't properly give Rihanna the props that she deserves for an amazing appearance on Inside Gaming. And
Yeah, girl, you killed it.
I know that
Snaps.
you were really nervous about it, but you crushed it.
You
Thanks.
did. You had me rolling with some of your little silly quips you had. Little twerking comment and the whole.
That was
like
a good twerk.
I
I stand by that. It was an advanced move.
And the part where you said it sounds like they're just going in the house and kidnapping people. That's so funny.
It was a fun time. That's a good
Yeah, you're
crew
a great girl. You were great.
Thank you.
All right, back to Haley. It's so appreciated that Rihanna is taking her time and emotional energy to share her truth and educate allies so we can better support her and the Black Lives Matter movement. She is amazing and inspiring, and I'm so lucky to have met her in Fargo. Love and good vibes to you, Rihanna, and all of the gals at WGG. Thanks,
Aw.
Haley. That was a
Thanks,
nice message.
Haley.
Yeah.
Adam Fitzpatrick writes, how do video games help you address the trauma of injustice? And do you have an example of a game which has furthered your passion for justice?
I can't think of any game that has made me more passionate for justice, but I do think of a few games that have helped me avoid dealing with trauma or avoid processing it when I just needed to put a pause on things. And that is 100% Animal Crossing. Andrea shared a GIF the other day when she went live on stream. It was like Animal Crossing person with their pole to go over a river, and it said anxiety and depression, and then you just flip right over it to the other side to get Animal Crossing. And that's pretty realistic, honestly. I am trying to deal with everything in a healthful way and avoiding substances when I know that I can't control myself. So I've been playing a shitload of Animal Crossing, and my 5-star island looks like trash, but it's 5 stars because I want those Lily of the Valley flowers.
Wait, how does a 5-star island look like trash?
There's just shit everywhere.
It's just about the amount of stuff.
So that's why I was getting so many good ratings. Okay.
She's
I
like,
was
my
right.
border
Trash
island is doing very well.
It was like, your island's great. I'm like, there's weeds everywhere and things haphazardly thrown about. But okay. All right.
Isabel likes that. She's weird.
Apparently, Isabel just wants
She's
no
about
grass showing.
quantity, not quality.
Exactly.
There we go.
Apparently. We talk all the time about how games are an escape and video games are an escape and a much needed one and something that is okay to have. Just like you said, Ree, like, you know what? I need to press pause on everything because I can't be in it all the time. I need to take a break for me. And I think we talk about mental health in the show a lot, and hopefully that is still true for people today to know, like, it's important to get out there, educate yourself, to march if you can, to vote when you need to, but it's also okay to take a break and to step away and to recharge so that you can keep fighting, because you can't keep fighting if you burn yourself out. So, and we need all the foot soldiers.
We need to keep fighting.
Yeah. I have a quick correction to make about She Dreams Elsewhere. I said Earthbound and Animal Crossing, and that was incorrect. It's Earthbound, Undertale, and Persona. Yeah, I mean, Animal Crossing, not a bad buzzword, Davion, but I wanted to be honest.
I thought that you could put like random crap in a little house or something. I was excited about that.
I don't
It's
think
just a random decorating simulator.
Yeah, get those stars from Isabel. Just
They
throw
really
shit
do need
everywhere.
to correctly advertise Animal Crossing as a decorating sim, because that is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Adventures
I need
in
to get
Capitalism is what it should be called.
Ah, indeed. That nook, man. But I have paid off all my loans.
Have you paid off
Thanks,
Maria's
Maria.
loans?
I've been trying to pay her back. I have the bells in the bank waiting for her. And she's
Oh.
like so rich now that she's like, oh, that's cute. You think I need your bells?
She's like a billionaire now, and she's like, I don't need that million. It's fine.
Yeah.
Get that
Exactly.
drop out of the bucket out of here.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's punked me again. But, you know, thank you anyway, Maria. I appreciate it. Okay. So Hugo writes, Dear What's Good Games, I've been listening to you for a long time, and this is the first time I'm writing to you. I'm living in Croatia, and I've been following the events that have been happening recently for the last week or so. Here in Croatia, we don't really have many colored people living here, so the topic of racism is not that much talked about. That's why I have tried to educate myself as much as I could on the issue that has been going on. Obviously, as a white man, I could never truly know the feeling of how it is to feel treated less because of the color of my skin. But as a gay man living in a country in which being gay is still not considered normal, I can kind of relate on being looked at different or even hated for who I am. So what I wanted to ask you girls is this. How do you feel about the sincerity of all of the things people write on Twitter and social networks? To explain my question a little further, I have a feeling a portion of what is being written by companies, influencers, or even famous people is just written to make them look better in a crisis. Is it really sincere to say you are sorry for something you may have done to look like a better person? Sorry for the long question. Love you all. So I think the question is, how do you feel about statements that people are making on social media? Do you feel that these statements are authentic and sincere? Or do we think that the statements being made either by individuals or by companies are there just because they feel obligated to say something?
I think there's probably both. But
Yeah, I was
going
going to say the exact same thing, Steimer. There's definitely both. There's people who are very insincere, just that's who they are. There's companies that will make decisions strategically, and there's also companies made up of people who are hurting just as much as all of us are. And there's also people who really, really, really want to make a difference. So kind of like what Khalif said, you know, like sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other.
Yeah, I think the gif was people are awful and terrible, but people are fantastic and great.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, yeah, that feels right. I did like Paris's tweet about the NFL, which when the NFL made their statement this week, I was like, maybe you just shut up. Maybe you just donate money and you take care of players and you let players protest when they need to protest and you just shut up otherwise.
Yeah, just Homer Simpson
Yeah.
away on this one. Don't.
It's interesting, you know, seeing all these statements from these companies and whatnot, and then, you know, Twitter never forgets, and then they'll pull up a contradictory statement or something that and they'll post it, they'll quote retweet it, and it's like, yeah, that's not a good look, you guys. But yeah, definitely column A, column B, and I think we'll find out as the weeks and months and years progress how sincere people really are being, and hopefully an overwhelming majority are being very sincere, because damn.
Yeah. And speaking of Paris, I know we talk about our friend Khalif Adams a lot because Ka's great and we love Ka and he deserves every single ounce of uplift he's getting this week for all of the work he's been doing for years. But Paris is also a fantastic member of the video games media community. Brittney and I had the opportunity to spend, a couple of days with him and Danny in various events over the years. And Paris Lilly is part of Gamertag Radio and also is a content creator and does a lot of cool things. He and I have been trying to figure out a time when he can drive up here because he's not that far away in Southern California. Of course, the pandemic has made that very challenging. But if you guys want to follow Paris, he's at Vicious696. So it's just VICIOUS, Vicious, the word Vicious, 696. On Twitter. He's awesome. He's also obsessed with Cyberpunk 2077. Just fair warning.
Another property created by a black man, by the way. Cyberpunk in general.
Yeah.
There you go. I love that crew, and they have some of the funniest banter, those two. And I know they're so tight and so close, but just watching them tear each other a new asshole online, it's just the fucking it's the best interaction. They're just some of my favorites. I also want to give a shout out to the crew that was on that Spawn on Me, A Lesson in Blackness episode. So we had Ka, obviously, which is called Jonkins on Twitter. Is that
I don't know how you say it, his Twitter
That's
name.
how he says. He says Kajakins.
So K-A-H.
Kajakins.
Yeah, yeah. And then you had Blessing. I'm going to name off their Twitter handles. Blessing Jr., Zombie Kills, Pikachulita, and then Vicious. And the Cinephile guy, which is Cam. It was a fantastic conversation, and they're all people that you should be following on Twitter if you're not.
Yeah.
The homies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway. So thank you to everybody who has been writing in. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your guys' support, and we appreciate you guys responding to our statement that we put out and having that moment of understanding and not coming back at us with like, I can't believe you're not doing the show. Like the idea that we didn't for a second have to doubt that you would be on our side is what makes What's Good Games great and why we love you guys so much. And I just wanted to kind of end my part of calling out people from DWGG and then kick it back to you, Rihanna, for any other thoughts that you have by saying Marcus Brown also wrote in, one of our Patreon producers. And he says, I just want to say thank you to Rihanna for being such a wonderful part of the WGG community. I hope that we have made you feel welcome, heard, and respected. The call for change has been issued loud and clear by the Black community, and it's our turn to listen more attentively, to educate ourselves more actively and consistently, and to speak out loud and clear against racism, brutality, and oppression of the Black men and women living here with us on this third rock from the sun. Thank you again, Rihanna, and much love and respect from all of us in the WGG community, the gaming community, and the human community.
Wow. Well, I can't say any better than Marcus. That's amazing. The only thing that I would like to say again, is thank you to our community, to everyone who has reached out to me both publicly and privately, to the three of you. Special shout out to John. And I'll give you one more homework assignment. If you are looking for a way to get a little bit more of a bite-sized chunk of what you can learn every day, because I know it's a lot. It's an entire people's history that nobody thought to teach. bit.ly/June Justice has created an entire rubric, or what's it called?
Like
Curriculum?
a syllabus? Curriculum?
Yeah, curriculum,
Yeah.
syllabus, lesson plan. Yeah. They have 3 options. You can do 10 minutes a day, 25, or 45. They give you options of things to watch, things to listen to, things to read. There should be something there for everyone, and it's a fantastic starting point if you're feeling overwhelmed by what you realize you don't know. And what I would like to leave everybody with is, like, it's okay if you don't know what's going on. If it's okay if you don't understand how we got here. What I ask you to do is figure out your next move. Like, what are you going to do now that you know? So thanks.
And on that note, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about some video games. See you in a minute, everybody. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It's the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast. This is where we talk about what we've been playing. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the news. Because there is a couple of items that are of interest this week, even though there are clearly more important things happening. We thought you'd still be interested to know what's happening in your world of video games. So this first story has me all kinds of excited.
Yeah.
I saw this tweet last night. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning seemingly leaked for August 2020, and it has now been confirmed. So this story has bits and pieces from both IGN and Polygon. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning has seemingly leaked on the Microsoft Store and apparently will make its way to Xbox One on August 11th. Scratch that, it's actually August 18th. It's a remastered version of 2012's Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, if that wasn't clear, and it was released on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. Over on Polygon, they write that the product page says that the remaster will offer improved visuals and refined gameplay. It initially offered a release date of August 11th, but as we have seen, it's now been adjusted, and included multiple screenshots from the page. Frankfurt, Germany-based Kaiko is listed as the developer of the remaster. The studio previously worked with THQ Nordic on Darksiders War Master Edition and Darksiders 2 Definitive. Not a real word.
That's what we call marketing speak.
Exactly. Polygon reached out for comment to THQ Nordic, who bought Kingdoms of Amalur from EA, and they confirmed that yes, the remaster is real, and it had said that it was inadvertently listed ahead of an official announcement. Florian Emmerich, the head of public relations for THQ Nordic, says, yes, it's true and accurate. The news was not supposed to go out yet, which can be summarized as an oopsie daisies on our end.
I love. Okay, this might be my favorite PR statement of all time.
Me too, Cyber.
To use
Oopsie daisy, our game
Oopsie-daisy?
leaked.
I love it, but also I'll
Oopsie-daisy.
say it's not 100% accurate because, as they've already said, the date was wrong.
Yes. We hope people are still looking forward to playing Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning in summer. Of course they are. Just because it wasn't your official announcement, it doesn't mean we're
it
not
does
excited.
suck when you work really hard and you're like, oh, it's gonna be this date. People are gonna be excited, and then someone's just like, oopsie daisy.
Oopsie daisy.
You have a
hit
whole
go.
plan. It's like, I wanted to do this the right way. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it happens.
Happens more often.
Happens
than
a lot. There's a lot of oopsie daisies in the world.
It really
The
is.
internet.
Emmerich added that fans can look forward to more information in a few weeks. A PlayStation 4 version is up for pre-order on Amazon alongside a Windows PC version. There's also a listing for an elaborate collector's edition, which
Brittney.
comes with an 8.2-inch statue of the character.
Oh, I
Alan
love things
Shearer.
that are 8.2 inches. Let's go.
It's a very specific number.
That's what she said. All of the listings give the same August 18th release date, with prices set at $39.99 for the standard game and $109.99 for the special edition.
That is a pricey statue.
I'm getting it.
Oh yeah,
I
Which
want
one?
it.
Which one are you gonna
I'm
get?
definitely
Oh.
getting it.
You're
too.
getting the statue, or you're getting just the game?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, the
Porque no los dos.
the collector's edition looks like, like your standard fare. Like the
statue actually
is
looks pretty
cool.
good.
There's a keychain. It says 5 artworks, soundtrack, and then of course your chosen copy of the game on your platform of choice. Just a little bit more background from IGN about Kingdoms of Amalur if you're not familiar. Amalur's story is penned by New York Times bestselling author R.A. Salvatore and was also developed by Spawn creator Todd McFarlane and Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion lead designer Ken Rolston. Kingdoms of Amalur was originally developed by 38 Studios and published by EA. In 2018, THQ Nordic bought the property from the now defunct studio. Although EA still owned the publishing rights, it appears they worked out a deal to make this happen. Amalur came with a ton of controversy as the Rhode Island Economic Development Corporation filed a lawsuit against 38 Studios founder and ex-Boston Red Sox pitcher Curt Schilling and other executives. 38 Studios went out of business following a $75 million loan supported by the Rhode Island taxpayers.
That whole situation was a yikes, but everyone really liked that game. I actually didn't play it, so I'm I feel like if we have a bit of a lull in that time period, like this might be the time when I finally hop in there.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
This is really exciting. I've only played maybe 15 to 20 hours of this game, and I've started it up twice. Only, and
That's
you
such
laughed
a
at me.
ridiculous statement. I'm sorry.
It's not
That's
though,
how
because
much I
it's
played.
a giant. No, oh my god, but it's a giant open world RPG. Like,
I
there's
know, but
so
I'm
much
just
to
saying-
play.
Let me
I've only
rephrase.
played 15 to
Out
20
of
hours.
context, it's a ridiculous statement.
Sure.
Like
Yes.
in context of
Anywho.
it being an RPG, yes, but like otherwise, can you imagine saying that about anything else? I only spent 15 to 20 hours doing it. It's a long
That's
time.
fair. It's a long time, but I've never actually finished the game. And I was just thinking about this the other day because obviously the world's kind of on fire right now, and games just really aren't hooking me. So what's sounding good are like comfort food games, and I keep thinking about Kingdoms of Amalur, and I was gonna go back to it because I have it on on 360. You know, you can play
Backwards
it on your Xbox.
compatible. I
Backwards
literally
compatible.
I dug the disc out of a box
Yes.
last night when I saw this tweet. I was so excited. And I popped it in my Xbox One X and loaded it up so that I could play. And then I was like, but wait.
I was like, wait,
Oh,
why are
but
you
wait a
doing
minute, I
that
was
now?
I was like, wait, why do I want to do that when I can wait for the remaster, which is happening in August? But part of me just wants to go in and tool around and maybe try to find my 360 so I can find where my save is.
There you go. No,
But,
this is cool. This is
yeah.
the perfect opportunity to play this game for the first time.
Will it save
Yeah,
carry over?
so good. No, you're really excited
think
about
so.
this.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yes. Funny story. Like I was actually talking DMing with Alana Pierce about Kingdoms of Amalur the moment when I saw this. So
No
we were
shit.
literally talking about, oh yeah, Kingdoms of Amalur. That was a great one. Not a lot of people played it. And then I saw this and I was like, holy fucking shit.
You brought it into the world, Ree.
You did.
Oh
was
my
your
god. I mean, it
DMing.
happened.
Can you DM Alana about Mother 3 localization?
Okay, I'll write that one down.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, can we all just send you a list of things we'd like you to DM
Yeah.
Alana about?
Just manifest it.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
manifest this
Yeah.
into the world.
So the part of this story that has me a little on edge
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm on the edge.
is that when we talked about EA in our 8-ball predictions, we saw on that list
Oh.
that there was a remaster that was confirmed. And I was like, is EA publishing this game
Wasn't THQ Nordic?
or is THQ Nordic publishing the game? Because remember in the story, it says that THQ bought the property, although EA still owned the publishing rights, but they worked out a deal, but we don't know what that deal is, according to this IGN story.
If I were a Magic 8 Ball and you shook me up real hard, I would say my sources say no, that this is not the EA HD game.
I mean,
I also-
Remaster.
Remaster, yeah.
Remaster, yeah.
I hope not.
I hope not to, not because I don't want this game, because obviously I do, but I think if THQ bought it, they should publish it, and that I really just want something else.
I can't
to be
remember the
remaster.
wording.
Yeah.
Hold on. What was the exact wording of the EA when they were like, it's a remaster of a... Did they say franchise or did they say... 'Cause I'm trying to remember if they insinuated that there was more than one game attached to it, because if there... I don't remember the wording though. So...
If it's not this, what are you hoping it will be?
Mass Effect
Mass Effect.
Trilogy remaster.
Okay, here we go. An HD remake of an EA game.
Oh, it's too generic.
Okay, hold on.
Super
Yeah.
generic.
Yeah, that doesn't help us at all.
Yeah.
Damn you and your careful wording.
God dang it, yeah.
Man.
All right, fine. I guess time will tell on this one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is exciting.
We don't have long to wait.
Yeah, it's true. Just a couple of months, but it is exciting that all of the DLC is going to be included. Because I don't think I played through all the DLC. So
I didn't even finish the game, but I loved it.
Yeah. No, the game is awesome.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
I've been trying to get Jason to play it, but he was like, I don't know. Now he's playing Breath of the Wild all over again. That loser.
I like your Jason voice.
Man.
But now we can play it together.
Yes, Britt.
All right.
Silence
I'm
me fell.
I'm stewing on this. I
Wait,
might have
you
to do some
stewing on it?
digging.
All right.
Okay, moving on. The next story. This is like I cared so little about this story. I didn't even put the whole story in. So maybe somebody else should read it, and I will make sure to pull
Okay,
up.
let's hype this shit up. Oh my god, Sega announced the Game Gear Micro, the strangest retro minigame device yet. This comes from Polygon. So Sega is reviving, ladies, its 1990 handheld, the Game Gear, as a mini retro console for the company's 60th anniversary. 60 years,
Wow,
can
that's
you
a
believe
long
it?
time.
The Sega Game Gear Micro will be released in Japan this October, and it may be the strangest retro device yet. The system comes in 4 different colors, and each colorway comes with 4 Game Gear games built in.
Only 4?
Each Game Gear Micro costs 4,980 yen, about $46, and will be released in Japan on October 6th. The Game Gear Micro is tiny indeed. It's 80 millimeters wide, about 3.15 inches,
That is
and
really
43
tiny.
millimeters tall, which is about 1.7 inches. It'll fit in your butt. The screen measures just 1.15 inches
That part, not
diagonally.
part of the Polygon article. Just so that was an aside. From
Yeah,
Brittney.
no, that was me. About 1/3 the size of its original Game Gear's LCD screen, and much, much tinier than the 2-inch screen on the Game Boy Micro. And that's all that she put in here.
So
Fit in your butt.
so the 4 games you get.
Just
Sonic the Hedgehog.
This is just with this one though.
Oh shit!
This is
They're
why I
all
didn't
different
put-
colors.
Yeah, this is why I didn't put all this
Yeah.
shit in there.
Oh, okay. Well, is Sonic on all of them or Sonic just on that one?
Different
okay.
Sonics.
Different Sonics. So it's like, yeah, if you get the blue one, it's Sonic and Tails. If you get the yellow one, you don't get any Sonic whatsoever. And if you get the red one, you get some Megami
Megami
Tensei
Tensei.
games. So
Yeah.
there's 2 that have some Sonics on them, and then the other 2 have no Sonics.
But the funny part to me is playing those games on such a tiny screen will result in some eye strain. But Sega has a solution: the big window micro
No.
magnifying
No.
Oh my
glass.
This can't
God.
be real.
A recreation of the big window released for the original Game Gear. This
We're
is
back.
real,
Did we
you
take a
guys.
time
It's
machine?
real.
Because
We're
I feel
back,
like
ladies. This
I don't
is
know
it.
what's happening with this.
This reminds me of the Game Boy. Remember all the little attachments you could have? That
Yep.
magnifying glass, you'd have the little light that would attach to it, and then you'd have the speaker amplifier on
I
the
had
bottom.
the camera that we
I had the
never
camera
used.
too. I still have my
Ooh.
printer and stuff. We
Yeah, the
should
camera
take-
and the printer. I think we
Yeah.
printed one thing off of it and then never used it ever again.
Yeah, it was.
We
kinda
should do a
sad.
show and tell one of these days.
Oh, I don't have it
I wanna see
anymore.
that.
It's long gone.
Brittney, can you find it? Do you know where it is in your house?
definitely has her stuff.
My Game Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
it's.
pr-
I
like
know
the
exactly
printer
where it
and
is
the
actually.
camera.
Oh yeah, it's in that room over there.
Also, not your Game Boy, your Game Gear.
Oh, my Game Gear. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I know.
She's
exact-
like,
yeah,
I have
it's-
literally everything under the sun. Don't worry about it.
It's on a shelf in the room next door. It was-
Okay.
Yeah. It's yeah.
So just as a clarification, if you guys want the big window micro, you have to pre-order all 4 of the Game Gear micro units at the same store in Japan. Sega has not currently announced a Western release for its mini Game Gear.
Thank God.
The Sega Game Gear Micro will be powered by 2 AAA batteries, but can also be powered by a USB micro cable. It features a built-in speaker and a headphone jack.
This is my literal nightmare. Is having 4 tiny things that I need to swap back and forth to play. Like, no. This is the shit I hate, which is just have a bunch of random crap in your house. I'm like, it makes my soul shrivel up a little bit inside. And then not only that, you have to buy a magnifying glass because we made it too small and you can't see it. Like, just make it bigger. Why?
So what's interesting about all this Sega bullshit is that I'm going to read from Paul Tassi from Forbes, as comes from his article 4 days ago. He said Japanese tech journalist Zenji Nishikawa teased a huge scoop coming in for the June 4th issue of Famitsu with the story in question related to Sega. Nishikawa said that it was on the level of Wired's PS5 articles back when they had back when they had exclusive reveals about the console, which led everyone to speculate about a new Sega system coming, though Nishikawa immediately said no, Dreamcast 2 is not on the way. So the concept have ranged from Microsoft partnering with Sega to rebrand the Xbox Series X in Japan to Google buying Sega outright and snapping up their properties for Sega content. So obviously,
Or
this
this.
comes out. And so the folks have been scrambling. They're like, no, this isn't the reveal. This isn't the reveal. So this
But
is
is it?
supposedly what the scoop is. Sega is working on a new kind of platform they apparently dub, and this comes from, Serkan, Serkantoto on Twitter, Dr. Serkan Toto from Kansen Games Inc. Anyhow, this person tweets and says, according to this news source in Japan, Sega is working on a new kind of platform they apparently dub fog gaming. That term is not the Japanese equivalent of cloud gaming, but no further info is known. And so now the article says, yes, fog gaming is this scoop, not this little butt Genesis or whatever. Yeah.
Not the butt
Game
plug
Gear, excuse me.
Genesis.
Butt Game Gear, excuse me.
But, oh, sorry, yeah, butt plug Game Gear.
Sega will use arcades in Japan as the technical backbone. CPUs and GPUs housed in arcade machines are mentioned specifically. Ultra low latency is touted, and commercial idea is to use arcades outside of business hours. So, obviously, this came out. Oh my god, this was the big wire. No, this wasn't it. Apparently, it's this fog gaming thing.
It's the thing with a very confusing name.
Yeah, I mean,
the cloud I
man.
understand, but fog is purposely.
Maybe it's like a code name. Maybe
I
it's got
hope
something
so.
else. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sega was getting into cloud streaming or some kind of digital pass service or some kind of legacy collection that you can access digitally only. I mean, almost
Would
all the
you like to
publishers
play the 4 games that are exclusive to each of these consoles, but on the fog system?
No. I'm a diehard old school Nintendo girl through and through. I spent some time with Sega's library. It was inferior to Nintendo's.
Ooh.
Fight me.
Ooh, let's bring it back. She's bold.
I think you could fight Greg on that one, or maybe not. I'm not sure.
I just feel like Nintendo's legacy library is
no,
definitively better.
Yes.
I mean, yes, there's a reason why they're still around making consoles, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Sega's still around making consoles.
Apparently,
Oh,
Sega is
you're
too.
right.
Bit of a head scratcher, that one.
Ching. Okay. Infinity Ward says that Call of Duty will get better at flagging racist usernames. Well, goddamn, it's about time. Polygon writes that they have announced that the company will be issuing more bans for racist usernames, as well as taking more steps to monitor racist content in games in the future. Quote, there is no place for racist content in our game. This is an effort we began with launch, and we need to do a better job. We're issuing thousands of daily bans of racist and hate-oriented names, Infinity Ward said in a tweet. The company has promised to issue more bans for racist usernames while also adding more ways for the company to filter racist content and to ban players for it, including reporting tools. These promises come in the wake of a Reddit user calling out Infinity Ward through a video showing dozens of accounts using the N-word as their usernames. While racial slurs on their own are not allowed to be set as usernames, players had been using symbols to bypass existing filters.
Yeah, that's like the most basic way to get around filters.
That's like internet usernames 101.
Don't you remember Leet Speak?
Oh my goodness.
Always remember Elite Speak.
Yeah, so of course, I'm glad Infinity Ward is doing this. I cannot believe that it took this week to make you do this. You're in one of the wealthiest publishing circles in the world working on the most successful video game in the world.
Yeah, but usually companies like this, I mean, to Ree's point earlier in segment 1, like, unless their feet are like in the fire, it's really easy to not prioritize things. And so I think that's kind of what this was like, they're like, we know it's a problem, but we also are.
It's hard for us to think of all the
Doing these other
ways people are
things.
going to be racist, so we just can't do it.
And then they were like, oh, this is a really bad look for PR wise. Maybe we should fix this now.
Yeah. So, like, of course, like, I'm not shitting on Infinity Ward. They're a great studio who make great games. I just am like, I'm glad you're going to be better.
Take this
Yeah.
to get them there. But as you know, as God of War says, don't be sorry, be better.
proactive.
And so I do appreciate that they didn't just say sorry. They were like, here is actually how we're going to fix it.
Yeah, it's always good to see a good old-fashioned action item. Once you know better, you should do better. They've known better for a while, but I mean, hey, they got there.
You know, the road was just a little longer than normal.
Okay. Next up. Steimer, do you want to read this one?
Sure, it's got so many beautiful orange links in it.
Yes, it does.
Publishers participate in Summer of Pride streaming, and this is a press release, so straight from the horse's mouth. Mid-Boss presents Summer of Pride 2020, the second annual celebration of LGBTQ plus diversity in games. Currently running through June 30th, the event features diverse Twitch streamers playing queer positive games and raising money for LGBTQ plus charities. That always like trips me up because there's so many letters. A year-round queer game storefront will go live later this month. Raising the bar for Summer of Pride, Mid-Boss and participating streamers will raise money for life-changing LGBTQ plus charities like Trans Lifeline, Trevor Project, GamerX, and GamerX via Tiltify. A permanent storefront for queer positive games curated by Mid-Boss will launch in June in partnership with Chrono.gg. This year's live streaming schedule includes... Is that bitch pudding? that how you say it?
It looks like bitch pudding. I've
Or,
never
like,
seen this
I've never
streamer.
seen it with the Q,
so I don't
the Q
know.
is the part. I'm not sure about the Q part,
Yeah,
but
that looks like bitch pudding.
Bitch Puddin', which is a
Bitch
great
Puddin'.
name. Winner of season 2 of the Boulet Brothers Dragula. I hope you say Boulet. And previously active in the fighting game community as a competitive player. More than 70 top streamers from across the LGBTQ plus spectrum, including Spoffy, Misha, I Am Brandon, and Deer will also take part in the festivities. They will play more than 60 games with positive representation of queer characters, themes, and stories. These included celebrated AAA titles from The Last of Us Left Behind, such a great piece, to the Mass Effect series, and an array of indie offerings such as Sayonara Wild Hearts, Monster Prom, also great, Always Sometimes Monsters, a fantastic name, and Fragments of Him. Players can join the celebration of inclusivity through the Summer of Pride 2020 sale, offering discounts of up to 80% on beloved queer positive games, including 2064, Read-Only Memories, Gone Home, and Tacoma. These and other sales will be available via the Chrono.gg storefront once it launches, and the Nintendo Switch eShop from June 20th through 30th, and Steam from June 9th to the 25th. So those dates are a little all over the place, but hopefully you can find the games where you want them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yay, be cool. Be cool.
There's lots of people that are doing pride-focused and queer-focused gaming events throughout the month of June. So if you want to get involved, it's not hard to find. There's lots of resources out there for you. So hopefully you guys can participate, and always shout out to our friends at Don't Nod for the Life is Strange series. We've done so much work with them as a studio here at What's Good Games, and they have some fantastic queer characters in that franchise. If you guys have never played it, I don't know how. I feel like we talk about Life is Strange a lot on this show. But definitely worth checking out as well. But there was a great little list here of just a handful of great games. So thank you for reading that, Steimer. In case you missed it, another very exciting tweet that I saw. Destiny 2 Year 4 reveal is happening Tuesday, June 9th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We are going to be getting information from Bungie about the future of Destiny, and there was a little video that went up on Instagram that wasn't supposed to go up on Instagram.
Was it an oopsie daisy?
It was. But the idea is that the Drifter is potentially headed to Europa, which is one of the moons of Jupiter.
What's
So
the
the Drifter is a character that lives in the tower, and he runs a mode called Gambit and Gambit Prime. So the Drifter was involved in one of the seasons of content recently, just to kind of keep a high level for you, Britt, not get too in the weeds.
It goes deep, Britt.
Yeah,
it goes real
Destiny
deep.
weeds. He currently is like playing two sides of the coin, and you don't know if he's a good guy, you don't know if he's a bad guy. And one of the pieces of DLC in Destiny 2 kind of chose you to pick a side if you thought he's good or thought he was bad. And we're thinking as a community that that choice is going to come to fruition potentially in this next piece of DLC. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that before I go down a rabbit hole. And inevitably, Renjamin or Solid Snake Ocelot reaches out to me and are like, yeah, Andrea, you screwed that up. Actually, this is what happened.
They have to push up their glasses when they say it.
Actually, Andrea, let me talk to you about the lore. No, but I'm very excited about what's happening next, and I'm looking forward to the reveal. And if Ree wasn't working, I would be like, let's stream it together.
Girl, I will stream it with you. I won't know what's happening. I don't know if you even
do that.
want me there, but I will
Just
smile.
ask all the questions.
And I will
I want you
nod.
there.
I will smile and I will nod.
Well, part of me is worried that they're just going to do a short teaser and then we'll go live and stream, and then it'll be quick and then it'll be over. But what if they don't? What if it's like a long, like 30-minute thing? I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out to Bungie and see if they'll give me any info. They probably won't.
Like,
they'll be
is
like,
it worth
LOL,
just be
that's
like,
funny.
yeah, is it worth co-streaming? They'll be like, ha ha ha, we will not comment at this time.
We're like, of course it is.
Steimer and I were with you when there was some Destiny thing going on, and I think that was a much longer event. But what I will say is your reactions are very entertaining, especially when they're a little spicy. So even if you are thoroughly disappointed, I feel like it would be hashtag worth it.
Yes. Still be good content, because even if the worst case scenario is they show a 5-minute teaser and you can bitch about it, the fact that they only showed a 5-minute teaser for another 30 minutes and then you can
Yes,
call
Steimer,
it a
you
day.
get it. You get it.
That's true. Okay. I will contemplate and keep an eye on our Twitter feed and my Twitter feed, and I'll let you know. I'll confirm on the Monday show if I'll be doing a live watch-along. Speaking of watch-alongs, the Cyberpunk 2077 Nightwire event has been delayed. CD Projekt Red made a statement this week saying, "We decided to move Night City Wire to June 25th. We still look forward to sharing new information about Cyberpunk 2077, but more important discussions are happening right now, and we want them to be heard. We wholeheartedly stand against racism, intolerance, and violence. Black Lives Matter." So glad to hear from CD Projekt Red, and LOL, the people that were like upset that this got delayed, like let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, the PlayStation event
Yeah.
also got delayed, but they didn't pick a date for it.
Yes, that is correct. So that happened on Tuesday?
That they delayed it?
Yeah.
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 Because it was supposed to be this Wednesday. Obviously, we talked about it on the show last week that this was rumored to be happening this week. It was going to. It is not now. It will be TBD at some point in the future. But yeah, like, it's, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, there are other things to worry about, I think.
Indeed, there are more important conversations. And another show that has also been delayed, the PC Gaming Show and the Future Gaming Show have been moved to Saturday, June 13th. That was supposed to be happening this weekend, and now they are going to be happening the following weekend. So just to get you caught up. As far as I'm aware, the Guerrilla Collective is still happening on Saturday, correct?
Yes. You got it. It sounds like now it's just going to be about a 2-hour show. So far, you have the Guerrilla Collective, and then you have Paradox Interactive, which was supposed to be followed by the PC Gaming Show. So looks like it'll probably be for like from 10 to like 12:30 or something.
Okay, so we'll have a shorter day of watch-alongs. Yeah. Hopefully you guys will join us at twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames, because in case you missed it, they're doing a really cool Pride emote initiative where if you guys gift a sub, if you cheer with bits, or you give out community subs, I believe, there are a whole collection of Pride emotes that you get. And for every, let me actually get the language on this correct. Let me pull it up. Because for every gifted sub, every certain amount of bits cheered, they are donating money to the Trevor Project up to $300,000. And so they're incentivizing people to do this because not only do you get emote, but somebody in the community also randomly gets an emote gifted to them as well.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Into it.
Yeah,
I have
sharing.
Yeah, I have all of the details on our Twitch channel, because if you just do the command,
talk to the bot.
Yeah.
Talk to the bot. See what he has to say.
Mr. Butt,
Dear
give me
Mr.
all
Butt,
of the info.
What is this?
Starting June 1st, earn Pride-themed emotes by subscribing, gifting a sub, or cheering at least 300 bits. Bonus, the entire WGG community gets one too. Plus, Twitch will donate 10 cents to the Trevor Project for every paid sub, gifted sub, or cheer of 300 bits or more. And if you go to our page at twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames, I have the graphic of all of the different emotes that you can get. So collect them all. There's, I think, 25.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, more than 25. It looks like
It's
30?
a 5x5 grid.
Is it math? 25. It's
5
25.
by 5 is 25.
I just tuned out. Start talking numbers. I'm gone.
I'm like,
Too-
it's
too
5 and
many
5.
maths.
It's 25.
Steimer is better at math than me.
No,
I'm
that's
notoriously bad at
Not
math.
correct. I just was like, grid things. Like,
Yes.
it's visual.
I didn't mean to get waylaid, but it's a really cool thing that they're doing for Pride, and the emotes are cute. So if you are interested, of course, join us. Okay, and lastly, Brittney. Oh, actually, you guys can talk about that Xbox thing. Do you want to talk about Xbox thing first, or you want to talk about P first?
Can we save the P for last?
Yeah.
Save the P for last. Okay. Do you have the details, Britt, about the Xbox dashboard leak, or you want me to pull it up?
I don't have it.
Rihanna,
up right now,
do you
but I
have
can pull
it? No, you can't talk about it.
You can't talk about
I
it.
can't talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay, here
On
we go.
the internet, that's all I got. I don't. We closed that tab because we
Oh yeah,
silly
I closed that tab too, and here we are. This is what's happening. It's
okay,
just a
so
thing.
here's what
Here.
happened, everybody. Let me break it down for you. There was
Okay,
a leak. Surprise. Another leak happened.
An oopsie daisy happened.
An oopsie
Oopsie
daisies
daisies.
of the new dashboard coming to Xbox.
One Series X.
So the redesign leaked ahead of a UI update, according to Metro.
Oh wait, or
in
is
the
this
UK.
for Sorry, is this for Xbox One or is this supposed to be for Series X?
I think this is just for Xbox One X and Xbox
It's
One.
the
currently.
Xbox One is getting a new dashboard.
I was confused. Got it. That makes more sense.
Yes.
But the intrigue comes from, is this what the X is gonna look like? The Series X?
I'm gonna
Ooh,
go
speculation.
with no.
I would go with no too. I don't think.
Yeah, same.
I don't think that they would launch the same dashboard. I think they want it to look shiny and new and different.
Hashtag bring back the blades.
Bring those blades.
Bring back the blades.
Blades are
Wants our
fire.
blades.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the blades, this Metro story has a little bit of details. Every video game company has its own specialties as well as things it's never been very good at. And for Microsoft, the two most obvious ones are naming its consoles and creating their user interface. The latter is surprising because the Xbox 360 blade system was always very popular, whereas the Xbox One dashboard has been a nightmare from day one,
Can
despite
confirm.
multiple updates that have, if anything, only gotten worse over time. Metro does not like the Xbox dashboard. Microsoft are giving it another roll of the dice, though. Now we know that the new Xbox store will look like, thanks to a series of leaks from @Win Community and the video above from Thurot's Brad Sam. So that Thurot's video, he essentially goes through and shows you what the new dashboard is going to look like. The interface is part of a wider dashboard update that will match up with Microsoft's new fluent design concept that it's using across multiple devices and operating systems. The simpler design keeps the store navigation on the left-hand side while making sure to highlight whether the game is free to play on Game Pass or not. I think that that is important because you don't want people accidentally going and buying something that they can get for free, or I mean, maybe it's a way
Quote
to tell
unquote
them
for free. It's not really free.
Well, I mean, like they shouldn't be
But
paying
yes.
extra money for
Correct.
if they're already paying for
Yeah.
Game Pass, right?
Yes.
It's assumed that the store update will come as part of the general dashboard refresh, codenamed Mercury, but it's still unclear when that will arrive.
That's funny.
Given how late in the generation this is happening, there seems to be a good chance that the same design or something very similar to it will be used for the Xbox Series X. Considering how important the backwards compatibility is to Microsoft, it doesn't seem to make sense that the new console would have a radically different dashboard or store interface.
We
but why
disagree
not?
with you, Metro.
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
why not?
Yeah, I like that they codenamed it Mercury, though. That makes me happy. I think it's funny.
Why?
Because mercury is like a liquid and it's fluid. Meaning you
Yeah.
can change.
Oh, I was just thinking of the
I'm
planet.
not thinking of the planet.
You're
no,
thinking of,
sorry,
like,
I'm thinking
the-
of the
You're thinking of the element.
element mercury.
I was
Mercury
thinking
an
of
element?
the god, actually.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's also a thing, but that's past.
Is
I like it.
Mercury an element?
I'm not sure what the
Yeah.
proper term is.
Yeah, it is.
It is a chemical element. The
Mercury.
symbol is Hg, and the atomic
Oh.
number is 80.
I think Mercury is really pretty. That's all. The
Yes.
element
Yeah.
itself.
It's
fascinating.
beautiful. It's dangerous
Deadly.
but pretty.
Deadly but pretty.
Yeah.
Like
Just
Most
like
things.
all of us. or
Exactly.
something. I don't know. there you
Now
go.
let's talk about pee.
Yeah, let's talk about P. All right, so this is a story from Games Radar. So it starts with this. The Sims 4 just got a brand new update, an expansion pack that's all about going green. But more importantly, Sims are peeing fire now.
Wait.
The terrifying bug was introduced with a sizable new patch preceding the Eco Lifestyle DLC, available now. It's not uncommon for updates to arrive hiding some dysfunction, but this might just take the cake. Among reports of crashes and missing houses, some players have been finding flames licking out of their Sims toilet bowls. So I will send y'all, I'll put this link into our doc so you can
Yes,
look.
please.
Yeah, it's just
You know,
they're peeing. The stream looks nice and clear, and then flames are just kind of erupting from the bowls.
Oh my
yes.
god.
The pee itself is not on fire, but the toilet.
No,
is
no.
definitely
I feel like
on
this is like
fire.
fair.
every man's dream
to pee on a trash fire.
to pee and like just like have flames
Yeah,
come up.
yeah. It's like the pee itself. It's like mercury. It's beautiful but deadly. By itself, just looking at it doesn't cause any issues. But as soon as it touches something, or I don't know what the fuck.
There's a
mercury
chemical
is. I'm not gonna-
reaction.
I'm talking out my ass here. All I'm saying is the pee looks fine itself. It's not like they're literally pissing flames.
Yeah,
But
some good looking pee.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
they pee
It's
and
just
then the flames
it
are coming out of
causes
the bowl.
combustion with something in the toilet, which
Yeah.
creates a flame.
Which would be fucking awesome. I would be squatting all over the place. Let's be real.
it would light your chocha on fire.
Yeah, you don't want a fiery coochie. It's not.
No, I wouldn't. I would be angled. I would be angled correctly.
Oh, okay.
so
You're
that the flames-
trying to. I don't know what you're trying to do besides light yourself on fire. But
Listen, you know what? Sacrifices must be made. And if all I'm saying, ladies, is if we are stranded and we're in like some dire straits and we're in the middle of the woods and we don't have a fucking campfire, I'm not going to care about my kocha or whatever the fuck Andrea just called it catching on fire. I will pee on those logs and I will give us heat.
You're not wrong. I feel like there's a difference between doing that to start a fire on a log and starting a fire in a toilet that you're sitting on. Like, because the toilet you're sitting on is like very directly going to come up. But if you like
it's gonna burn your
stand
bush.
squat over the fire and like, I mean, it's still
I
gonna,
can stand.
it still
I can
could
just stand
singe you a
over it.
little
Oh, my
bit,
aim is
but-
true. I mean, I don't know.
My aim is true.
Oh God.
Yes. You have my bow.
Cheers.
I can't.
Cheers to that.
I can't
Cheers to
deal.
the burning bush.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole new term, burning bush. There you go,
Wow,
Ree.
Ree coming in over the top.
Nicely done. I'm proud of you.
Oh man.
Oh God. Okay. So The Sims also had an oopsie daisy. Burning bush.
I mean,
Lots of oopsie daisies.
Indeed.
there are a lot of oopsie daisies in the world.
Indeed. And on that note, that is going to do it for our news segment. Ladies, this is normally where we would go to a break, but no, there is no breaks this week. We're going straight into what have you been playing?
Oh yeah.
Great,
And-
I'll go first. I can't talk about it yet. We'll talk about it next week. Hey, somebody else is up.
Good job, Steimer.
Yeah, so Steimer has already confirmed that she, yes, indeed, is playing The Last of Us Part 2. Thank you, PlayStation, for sending that copy over. But no,
Yes.
she cannot talk about it yet because for some reason they gave it so early.
It's been helpful for me because I've been moving through this, so it's
Yeah.
given me plenty of time, which is nice. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. I'm glad that you're having a great time. None of us are at all incredibly jealous.
No.
I didn't
not
say
at all.
I had a great time at all. I said no impressions yet. I have just said that I have the game. That is all I have said.
That is correct. That is all she said. She confirmed that she has the game. Okay, so I, as you guys know, have just been playing more Animal Crossing. So I was excited to chat with Brian Altano. He came by my island. We recorded my little tour. They're going to be airing that soon. Once I know exactly when, I will be sure to relay it. But I'm really happy with how my island is coming along. I'm feeling very proud of it. And as we mentioned earlier, it's been a really nice way to like just chill for a while. So I don't really need to reiterate everything. It's now summer, so there's some new bugs to catch. There's some new designs to buy, but it's not like a radically different game or anything. So I will kick it over to you two.
Ree, you want to go?
Yeah. As usual, I'm going to talk about Apex.
Yeah, girl.
I've been playing Apex nonstop. It's a constant in my life. And in addition to finally getting into some duos, and I really appreciate that they're switching between the two maps like periodically. Like there's a countdown timer, and you can see when it's going to go from World's Edge to King's Canyon, which is pretty cool. I've been playing this new Broken Ghosts quest thing that they introduced for Season 5. So I'll read a piece about it because it'll be much more straightforward than what I would try to do off the cuff. So Season 5 introduces our first quest to Apex Legends, a season-long search to find 9 pieces of a mysterious artifact. Collect daily treasure packs in competitive matches of Apex Legends, maximum 1 per day, and unlock rewards and new hunts for the missing pieces. You go on weekly hunts into King's Canyon at night to retrieve pieces of the artifact, and brave the dangers solos or with your squad. Brave the dangers solo or with your squad and make it back alive. While you can always join in on hunts, you'll only get the rewards if you've unlocked the mission yourself. So I'll pause there. Basically what it is like a rush mode where you and a friend or 2 friends or just, go in willy-nilly, you run through different parts of the map and you have waves of these like new enemies. They look sort of like Revenant style where they came from another dimension, and they pop really quickly, so it feels like you're fighting a bunch of ghost dogs, which is kind of cool. And then you get to this like little space, and then you have to like hold this point and fight off more ghost dogs, and then you have to like escape to the choppa, and it's really randomly fun because
To the chopper.
yeah, like it breaks up the normal pace of Apex, which, as a lot of people know, it's a battle royale game, and it takes the PvP element away from it, but it's sort of a nice play on the typical horde mode that you might see in one of these games. So I've been playing that, and the quest rewards come pretty regularly. If you don't find a treasure pack on any given day, you can spend your in-game currency to purchase one every day. So that's an option for you. If you don't feel like going into a match and playing just for the RNG of finding a treasure pack, you can buy one with your in-game currency and usually by now you'll have plenty of currency stored up. And yeah, it's been really fun. I like it.
Cool.
I don't understand a thing you just said, baby girl. I'm so happy that you're happy. You go, doink.
Sorry, I'm like gonna be like deep
it's
Apex
not you.
nerd him.
No, it's not you. It's
She doesn't
not
have
you,
a
it's
frame of
me.
reference, so it's
Yeah,
hard.
and you definitely don't have to be sorry. I have talked to Ree about how it's time for me to spend some time in Apex. So we're going to plan a stream where Ree teaches me the basics, the Apex basics, because I have played so little of this game. So I think I'm ready.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good. It's fun. You'll get hooked. We told you would love Animal Crossing, and look
true.
what happened.
That's true.
That's
saying.
true, but Battle Royale and me, can I
You said this
decorate my
one's
house in Apex?
You can decorate your character. Have you seen the Loba skins? We talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about
we
that
talked
before,
about
yeah.
it last week. Yeah. Also, today is the last day for when the podcast airs, it'll be over. But you should log on tonight. Twitch Prime has Loba loot as part of the Apex loot.
Ooh.
So if you have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime loot, which you also get a free sub if you wanted to give to What's Good Games. But yes, they also do game loot, and the loot for Apex this month is a Loba skin, I think, or an
Nice.
emote or something.
Ooh,
She's
yes.
cool.
Yeah,
She's
check it out.
yes.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that you're still kicking around at Apex, having a good time in all of the new content. And we'll definitely check in and be streaming that at some point in the future. Brittney, you have been playing some FMV. I remember when this game came out, and it looked interesting. But tell us, how has it been with telling lies?
Yes. Okay. So spoiler, played about 5 hours of it, and then I got impatient, and then I went on Wikipedia. But
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Hold the phone.
Are you saying that you didn't actually play through the entire thing, that you stopped playing, then you read a summary of what happens on Wikipedia? Am I understanding that correctly?
So you did the Cliff's Notes version.
yeah. So okay, here's a scoop. So like I was saying earlier, games right now just really aren't hooking me, and I think it's just obviously everything going on. So I was looking for something a little different. It's like, okay, either play Ocarina of Time for the 50th time, 100th time, I don't know, or I try something different. So I looked at Telling Lies, and for some reason that just sounded like something different enough that my interest was piqued. So I grabbed my trooper husband, Jason. I'm like, we're going to do this. He was like, all right. So for those of you who don't know, Telling Lies, it released originally in 2019 on PC, and it just now came to, last month it came to console, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation. It is developed by Sam Barlow and Furious Bee. So Sam is the writer and designer of Her Story and Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which I did not know, which is kind of funny, and published by Annapurna. So the official description of Telling Lies. Telling Lies sits you in front of an anonymous laptop loaded with a stolen NSA database full of footage. The footage covers 2 years in the intimate lives of 4 people whose stories are linked together by a shocking incident. Explore the database by typing search terms, watch the clips where the words are spoken, and piece together your story. So this game takes about 7 to 15 hours to complete. I was looking on how long to be in some other threads because I was curious, because after about 5 hours I was like, And so so there's 169 clips in this game.
Nice.
And they range from 2 to 8 minutes a piece. So there's a lot of them, and for the most part they're either 2 minutes or 8 minutes. And the idea is 2 to 8 minutes, sorry. And the idea is that you search for certain terms. So the game starts and you are essentially looking at a desktop, a literal screen. And you can see the reflection of a woman who is supposedly you, right? And then a database shows up and you can search for search terms. So if you search for love, for example, it's going to show 5 videos that mention the word love in them, 5 out of the 169. And what you do is you find a video, you watch it, and then from that, they're one-sided conversations for the most part. So it's usually one of these 4 people talking to someone else. So what you do is you watch that clip, and then from that, you grab a keyword that you think will help you find find the clip that corresponds to it. Who is this person talking to? So let's say it's let's say we find a clip of Steimer, and in it she says, "I love colon." So then what I would do is I'd be like, okay, within this 5-minute conversation, Steimer once mentioned I love colon. I bet if I search for colon in the database, I'm going to get that corresponding video. Because that person might, right. So you search for colon in that database, and then it would be me. You'd find me responding to you, being yeah, colon's really hot, and so is Alistair, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right? And so then what you do is you can kind of piece together that conversation. And so the way Jason and I played it is he was handling the game, and I had my laptop on the side, and I was like typing up all these like notes and trying to figure out who's who and what's what.
Hat on.
Yeah, and I mean, in that sense, it was really fun. It was kind of a fun like cooperative effort, and it was fun to figure out what's going on in the story and who's who and like what the twists and the turns are. And let me just say, all these clips are very, very, very well acted. Like these actors are very, very talented, and they're really good at what they do. But the part that got a little too repetitive, maybe not repetitive is the word, monotonous perhaps, I don't know. It's just, it got too much where it's like, okay, we watched one clip and we watched this other clip. This took about 15 minutes to watch these two clips. Now, where do we go from here? Because we didn't get anything super concrete from that conversation. So I guess now we just throw out a random word and we search for that and see what happens. And then you kind of do like piece together story elements. But I think just for me, it was just like a little too much. And there's this dumb feature that you can't rewind the video. So like, let's say, going back to the Steimer example, I searched for colon, and then 5 minutes into our conversation, I mentioned colon, and that's how the video grabbed it. Well, then you have to stop and manually rewind to get to the beginning of the video. And now granted, as you're rewinding, you are seeing subtitles on the bottom, and that's where they pull the keywords from. But you still have to rewind manually to get to the very beginning. Now, granted, it's not like a second per second. It's like, okay, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds here. But there's not like an immediate start from beginning, which gets a little tedious. Anyway.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like a job.
It got to be a job. And that's why I eventually went to the Wikipedia page. And what I will say is about after 5 hours, you get this little hint that maybe your time with the game is coming to a close. And what happens is you get an ending depending on, I believe, the most clips that you saw from one of the characters. I understand that after that happens, you can continue to play the game to watch all of the clips and piece together all the info. But even after 5 or so hours, I was reading the Wikipedia page, and oh boy, like I did not even start scratching the surface of like the twists and the turns, because I was trying to figure out everything from a chronological order. Anyhow,
wait, so
for me, it got to be a little too much work.
Did something happen you're trying to figure out? Like, I guess I'm missing the what here.
You're right. I purposely didn't mention the plot because that's the whole thing.
Well, yeah, but
it doesn't tell you absolutely
doesn't tell
anything.
You just come in and you're like, there's just a bunch of clips here, and I guess I'll look at them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I haven't said anything, because I think that's how.
Fair enough. I assumed it would be like, you're trying to do this, go find it, and you're like, okay, and like, but it sounds like it does not set you on any sort of.
There
quest.
are a little like. There's some memos on the desktop. There's solitaire on the desktop that you can mess around with.
What if you just played solitaire for like 5 hours?
I mean, we admittedly played like 5 games of solitaire before we actually started the game.
Well, Barlow, Sam Barlow, the creator, says that it's a desktop thriller much like Her Story was, where the player becomes involved in a drama that is played out through stored video clips and other information. Let's see. It says...
I don't know if Her Story... I didn't play it, so I don't know if that was just one person or if there were multiple people involved in that one as well. But
it says, the only kind of thing here, it says that it covers a 2-year period which have been stored on a stolen hard drive taken from the National Security Agency, the NSA. And the player has the ability to search hundreds, as you said, 169 segments. And I guess like you're supposed to figure out, like, is there like a thing you're supposed to be solving?
Yes. I mean, I say it like that because you don't quite know what you're doing or why you're doing it. And my understanding is that you don't fully, it's essentially just telling a story, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand why you need to figure out the story. I'm sure that's explained, but it's more or less like, okay, you follow these characters and then you see how they all come together. And I think it's just the telling of a story is the point of this game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we don't want to spoil anything, but I think like the high level plot you would read like on the back of the box is in 2019, Karen Douglas, a former FBI agent, goes back to her apartment to turn on her computer and access the content of an external USB drive. She then watches videos by searching keywords.
Yeah.
And so it's like clearly we're working with, clandestine, agencies spy stuff, secret government stuff. And something happens within that whole kind of realm. So, okay, so overall, it sounds like you were like meh about the whole thing.
I enjoyed the time I spent with it. I would have preferred if it was much shorter, but you know, it just wasn't something.
Maybe
that
just
was
69 clips instead of 169.
69 instead of 169. I think we played maybe like 5 or so hours of it. I don't know how many clips that actually is, or it probably wasn't even the full 5 hours. But either way, yeah, I mean, I want to talk about it because I think it's something different. I think it's cool. I think it's, you know, different things should be applauded because, hey, you're trying something, you know, innovative. But it just wasn't entirely for me. But I will say this is a good family. Well, there are some mature themes in it. One of the characters is a sex worker, which, like, you don't see anything. And that's not super spoiling anything, so don't worry. Don't get mad at me. But that's not she never does anything super, like, raunchy or whatever. And there's swearing and there's violence, but it's whatever. Yeah. But
whatever, let your 10-year-old play it.
I was watching that shit when I was 10. Look how I turned out.
For children.
Amazing.
But yeah.
All right, cool. So ringing endorsement. Excellent. On that note. So this has been a very interesting show. It has gone places, to say the very least. Now,
Put it up your butt.
You know, I wasn't going to mention that again, but since you did, yes, we did
talk about butts and pee. Like, it was eventful.
And oopsie daisies. Yeah.
Going places. But most importantly, we talked about the events of this week and what you can do to be better and to help people in your communities. Just as a reminder, there's links in the description below. If you're listening on podcast, you know, you can check the show notes there, or you can check it out on YouTube. Please do use those resources. They will help you be a better person. And because we did have that incredible discussion at the top of the show, we are going to move our Patreon produced segment about game IPs until next week. And so thank you for your patience, patrons. And of course, thank you for your support. And just so you guys are aware, you may have gotten a message from Patreon about a new tax. I don't want to call it a bill because technically it's a bill, but there's a new law that requires Patreon to charge taxes for specific tiers. We have more details about that on the Patreon page. Hopefully most of you are not affected. And if you are, it's not that much more in your pledge. If you have questions about it, of course, we are always here to answer those questions. You can reach out to us directly through Patreon if you would prefer, or of course, contact at what'sgoodgames.com. And on that note, we are going to say goodbye. We will see you on Saturday for the Guerrilla Collective stream along. And then, of course, we'll be back on Monday for What's Good Games Live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we hope that you guys play some video games and get educated this weekend. Bye, everybody.